Welcome to our kitchen. Today we prepare medieval gratonata di polli, a chicken stew from Anonimo Toscano, a 14th century cookbook written in vernacular. We start with ingredients. We need 1 chicken, cured pork fatback, onions, eggs, verjuice, and the spices: black pepper, cloves, nutmeg, and saffron. First, we mince 1 onion and about 100 grams of cured pork fatback and cut the chicken into pieces. The cookbook we are using for this recipe is mainly a vernacular translation of an older source, the Liber de Cucina, written in Latin, with variations and additions, such as this gratonata, that doesn't appear in the other manuscript. Anonimo Toscano is particularly interesting, because not all the recipes seem to be meant for the noble family that the cook serves, but are suggested to the readers themselves, who could be or not professional cooks as the author is. This point is important to understand that a recipe like the one we are preparing today isn't necessarily considered a dish for a noble, but something suitable also for common people as the cook or the reader. Other recipes instead are clearly recommended for the dish served by the cook, or in one case even for the comune familia, which means the servants working in the household. Cured pork fatback lardo in Italian will provide a delicious flavor to the dish, with a complex sapidity. If you prefer, you can substitute it with olive oil or another animal fat. Paying attention to add salt to the stew, unnecessary with lardo since it is already salted. We melt the pork fatback, then we add the onion and chicken. The author suggests adding a bit of water and stir the chicken often. It will help to better cook the stew and prevent it from sticking to the pot. If you want to know more about historical cooking, check out our Patreon page, in which you find translations of medieval cookbooks and dietetic sources, in addition to articles about historical foods. At this moment there are available the Opusculum de Saporibus, Registrum Coquine, Appendicula de Condituris Varis, and the Flora Dietarum. If you're interested in ancient Rome, check out our new book, Ancient Roman Cooking, available in English and Italian on Amazon, in both ebook and printed edition. To support us, you can also buy us a beer or purchase our merchandise. You find all the links in the description below. Meanwhile, we soak the saffron in warm water and grind the other spices in the mortar. The recipe doesn't specify which kinds of spices to use for this plate, except for saffron, which is, with pepper, one of the most common spices in the Middle Ages. In the 14th century, the physician Michele Savonarola writes that it seems that it is impossible to make a good sauce without it. And later in the Renaissance, Costanzo Felici adds that it is used every day in every kitchen to make whichever kinds of plates. We chose some of the most used spices in the Middle Ages: pepper, cloves, and nutmeg. But you may use others, for example grains of paradise, ginger and cinnamon, all of them common in medieval cuisine. We add a bit of verjuice, the spices and saffron. We cooked the chicken for about 40 minutes. Verjuice is a fundamental ingredient in medieval cooking, but it was used since the antiquity, in particular in ancient Greece. Unripe grape juice, as well as unripe grapes, is used to give the dish a bit of acidity. In the 14th century agricultural book, Ruralia Commoda by Pietro de Crescenzi, we read that there were two main kinds of preparations with unripe grape juice called agrestum. One liquid, the other solid, which was meant to be preserved for a longer time. The first kind was made by fermenting the juice in the sun for a few days, with the addition of salt to preserve it better. The solid agrestum instead was prepared by boiling down the juice, drying it in a vase, and then storing it. In the medieval sources, there are several possible substitutes for agrestum, among which acidic juices, for example lemon or orange juice. If you want, use vinegar, usually suggested in winter instead of verjuice. When the chicken is cooked through, we beat 4 egg yolks with a bit of verjuice. We add the mixture to the chicken and cook for about another minute. The medieval author specifies that for each chicken we need 4 egg yolks. The most used kinds of eggs were chicken eggs, but we find in the sources duck, goose, quail, or even pheasant eggs. Considered healthy, but probably not very common. There are plenty of recipes for eggs in the medieval cookbooks, but also the dietetic sources explain the healthier ways to cook them. We find often in the medieval recipes the eggs used to finish the dishes, either diluted in a liquid that may be chicken broth, wine or verjuice, or even poached, as in a recipe we prepared recently. You find the link to the video in the description below. This gratonata turned out flavorful and hearty, with the delicious smell of chicken, perfectly blended with the delicate aroma of saffron and the spiciness of pepper, nutmeg and cloves. It seems an excellent plate for these cold days of winter. Very easy to prepare, but well balanced and tasty. The perfect way to taste the simplicity of a chicken stew that enhances all the most typical medieval flavors. If you're interested in ancient foods and flavors, subscribe our channel and consider supporting us on Patreon.